So guys, we have amongst us Don Philip.
Hello.
He's an amazing producer, educator. He's an Ableton certified trainer. He's a creative consultant. He's worked with the likes of Lucky Ali, and he's worked as a live sound engineer. He's worked in the advertising industry. I think worked on over 100, 200 ad works for multiple brands. And yeah, he's here with us to share some of his
Insights?
insights.
Stuff I've figured out over the years. Yes, thanks. So, Nikhil can say all those nice things because we've worked together actually for quite a while. Well, yes, thanks for having me here. It's always fun to come and talk at Seamedu and, talk to you guys. Have any of you here been to any of my lectures, been to any of my classes, seen me before, anything? No? First time? Great. Awesome. So no expectations. That's always good. Good. So a couple of ground rules for what's going to happen today. So what we're going to do is we're going to just have a discussion. Right? For you guys, how many of you here are producers, music producers? Very good. How many of you are engineers? Okay, and the rest of you just walked in from the street. What's happening? Are you guys in photography, film? Like, what are you guys doing? What are you studying? Yeah.
I'm a decision, so sound engineering.
Okay, you're studying sound engineering. Okay, everyone here is studying sound engineering? Majority? So who are the outliers? What's the other subject then?
Film photography.
Who's film and photography? Okay, all the guys behind the cameras. Okay, makes sense. Okay, good. So good, interesting. You guys are in, music production, you're learning audio engineering. There's so many things that go on. You guys are young, you understand technology. When was the last time one of you looked at a tutorial on YouTube? Or yesterday, this morning, last night, 2 seconds ago when you're trying to finish an exam or something like that? Yeah. So I'm not going to waste your time by opening up a project and going through tips and tricks because there's 1,000,001 of those on YouTube that you can follow yourself and go through and ask your amazing teachers like Nikhil questions and doubts. What I do want to do is have a conversation with you guys about your creativity. Right? So that's, even when I was in college, I remember one of the biggest things that I didn't have access to was people with insight. Right? When you guys are in college, and you guys are what year? First, second, third. It's a mix of also. The third year guys will attest to how, yes, college is awesome and you learn so much, but how many third year guys? Okay, only 3 third year. Okay, all 4. Okay, all front row guys. So, in your 3 years of college, have you learned more from your peers and your teachers or from the textbooks you read? There are no textbooks? Okay. I mean, yes, there are materials, yeah. It's 2022, everything is digital, I get it. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is you learn the most from the networks you create, right? From the people you talk to, from the discussions you have with your peers or from teachers that come in, right? That's where you learn the most. So for you first years and second year guys also, that's very, very important to have open discussions. Now when it comes to discussions, for the next 1 hour, that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a discussion. Okay, I'm not going to even open the software. If we have some time in the end, we can go through some exercises on the software based on what we've talked about. But what we're going to do is we're going to have a discussion. So a discussion is 2 ways. A discussion is not just me standing here and talking. It's me asking you a question, you responding, and us talking about it, right? So like I said before, I have a lot of fun picking on the guys who are very quiet. Right? So if you're in the corner, if you're too quiet, I might come up to you and just ask you a question. Cool? So what was that? Huh? It was meant to be a joke. Yeah. Cool. So anyway, the whole point of this is so that we discuss, right? So we talk about this more and we understand these things more. So what are we talking about today? We're going to talk about managing creativity and inspiration. Now this title of this workshop is kind of clickbaity if I were to name it anything else. Can you actually manage creativity? Do you think that's something you can actually do? Can you? Partially. Okay, there's a way to Okay, now we're jumping ahead. Cool. So in order to understand this, let's just understand like what is creativity. And actually before that, let me just introduce myself. I didn't do that. So as Nikhil rightly pointed out, my name is Don Phillip. I'm an Ableton certified trainer. I've been in this industry for a little over 15 years. So I've worked with a lot of brands. I've made music for a lot of brands. I've worked with a lot of artists, made music for artists. I've worked as a live sound engineer. Pretty much any job role that you could think exists in the audio industry, I've had a taste for it. Right? Currently, I work as a director for an education company, which has nothing to do with sound or audio. Right? The point of that being is, I like talking to people, I like talking to teachers, and, that's kind of a new journey for me. But this is what I do. I like to explore creativity and, how we can be creative with anything we work on, whether it's audio, visual, whatever it is in between, that's what I do. Cool. So, my first question to you guys. What is creativity? Everyone's so quiet. You guys are studying media, right? Doing something different, okay. What do you think? What is creativity? Have some ideas, okay, good. The ability, did you Google it? Are you looking up the... Good. I mean, I think one thing I always tell my students is if you don't know what the question is, just break down the actual word and the answer is always there, right? Cool. So what is creativity? The use of imagination or original ideas to create something new. What does that mean? When was the last time you imagined something? How do you imagine something? Super simple. Close your eyes. What do you see? Like in the picture of your mind. What do you see? That's your imagination, right? Taking that and making it something. Taking an original idea and making something, right? So that's your creativity. So when was the last time one of you had an original idea? Huh? Almost every day? So what was your original idea yesterday?
Yesterday, we were recording some vocals.
Huh?
Harmonies for the vocals.
Huh?
That was my imagination. I could imagine some harmonies for the vocals.
But was it an original idea? So it's never been done before.
I mean, not like that.
Okay.
For the song, it was done.
For the song was never, because the song was never like, you're just making a new song, Okay, but do you get what I'm saying? That's great. It's a great idea that you put it in, but it's not original. It's something a little different. Anybody else? Who can tell me what was the last original idea? Huh?
I'm working on a digital IP-based network.
Okay.
So you could run on like Dante already exists.
Huh?
I'm working on Dante uses first of all uses software license, you have to buy a license, put a network switches and all that. That takes fun. I'm working on a freeware so you can connect as many laptops as you want and use one laptop as a master laptop and use other laptop as the processing DSP just as the DSP and all that.
Very interesting. Nice. So is that an original idea? It's never been done before?
Kind of an original idea in the concept I'm working on.
So it's kind of original idea. Okay. Good. Guys, don't think I'm dumping on anyone's answers. Okay? I'm trying to work towards something. Who else? What was the last original idea you had?
I can't recall it.
You can't recall. Okay. What about you? What was the last original idea you had? No idea. Come on, you guys are supposed to be in the creative space. Where's the creativity? Any other last time you guys had an original idea? Something's on your mind. I can see you thinking. You're blank. Thinking so hard. Huh?
There was so I just had this idea, but I didn't implement this.
Huh?
So there's this Cat5 technology. Right?
Yeah.
So thought about using Cat5 technology to transfer audio signals
So if you could use a Cat5 like to send audio.
So over Ethernet and using Cat5 as since it has a larger bandwidth, then yeah,
I mean, I don't know if it's already done, but I just had that idea.
nice, good. What? Another original idea? Creating an original idea? No? Okay, so now all you guys gave some examples of original ideas, right? Were they original? Were they completely groundbreaking, completely new? They're derived from other things, right? Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. In fact, it's a good thing, right? That you're deriving from something else. This is also known as inspiring yourself, right? Looking for inspiration. Okay, that was a question. Right? Inspiration helps you understand your creativity. So we're trying to break down how you're getting to your creativity, how you create things. One of the biggest tools that you have, or the biggest, I don't know, I would say process that you would go through for understanding your creativity is your inspiration and understanding your inspirations. When you understand your inspirations and understand how to manage your inspirations, you can start managing your creativity also. Right? If you understand what inspires you, you'll be able to understand the things that you like to create. So, what are inspirations? What inspires you? What is inspiration? Let's start there. A lot of big questions that you guys don't really sit and think about. Do you guys sit and think about these things? Do you think that these are important things to think about? Okay, that's an example. No, tell me, what is inspiration? We'll get to examples after that. What is inspiration? Huh? No, sorry, both of you can go. Huh?
Things that already exist,
Okay.
and we just somehow use that for our creation.
Good.
Something that sparks an idea.
Something that sparks an idea. Very good.
Gives them motivation to explore the field.
Very good. Yes, all correct answers. Anything that influences you, right? Anything that influences you is an inspiration. Now, you were giving examples of inspiration. What were you saying? Nature.
Yeah.
Right? Nature is an inspiration. What else? What are the other inspirations you have?
Other artists.
Other artists can inspire you, yes. Thoughts can inspire you. Some scenario, and now we're getting too vague. Let's come, let's be a little bit more specific. Huh?
Memories.
Memories, okay. What about you guys? What inspires you? Music inspires you? Okay, anything specific? Any type of music? Or artist? Linkin Park inspires you? Amazing. What about you? Huh?
Becoming a better person.
Becoming a better person inspires you. Interesting. What, you guys came up with some inspirations? No. Cool. So, inspirations could also go in the negative, right? You could have had a bad day, right? Parents would have shouted at you in the morning. Sorry? Gone through a breakup. Yeah, no, completely true, right? Could have gone through a breakup. Your other half doesn't like you anymore, dumped you in the morning. Now you're going to make sad. So you're gonna make sad songs for the rest of your life, right? That's how it feels. So these are inspirations, right? These are things that inspire you, that influence you, and in turn they will influence your creativity. If you went through a bad breakup for the next couple of months, what are the kind of songs you're gonna produce? Sad songs. Okay. You get into a new relationship for the next couple of months, what are the types of songs you're going to create? Happy songs, right? Happy love songs. Bollywood songs, right? And anything that makes you happy. Whatever floats your boat, right? It's going to influence you, right? These experiences will influence you. Now, the next question is, can we always depend on inspiration to be creative? Why no? You could be very distracted by it.
From an inspiration, you'll always rely on something to get
You'll have some dependency, right? Then, now you guys will finish college, you're out in the real world, you're working at some place as a producer or an engineer or something, and your boss or your client is like, I need a happy rock song today. But my partner dumped me the day before. Are you going to tell your boss or your client, sorry, I can't take your money, I'm too depressed right now? You're not going to do that, right? So, can you always depend on your inspirations? No? There's a lot of yeses and nos. Who says yes? Raise your hands. Only one person says yes. Everyone else who says no? Okay, pretty much everyone else says no. So, my take on this is yes, we can. We just need to understand how to manage our inspiration. Inspiration is crucial for our creativity. Because what did we say creativity was? It's, creating something based on original ideas. Now, it's very hard to come up with original ideas unless you're inspired by something. You can see how this turns into like this vicious circle, right, that you can't really get out of. Okay, so if that's the case, then we just need to understand how to manage our inspiration. So, what if we look at inspiration as two types? This thing keeps... So let's think of inspiration as two types. External inspiration and internal inspiration. So, what do you think this means? What do you think external inspiration is? Outside yourself, outer body experiences?
Anything which is not yours.
What is that? Okay.
Something which you don't have control over.
Something you don't have control over, very good. So what do you, so that's a good answer, something you don't have control over. So what is something you don't have control over? Nature, okay, good. He stole someone's answer, by the way. Someone said nature in the beginning. What else? So what is something you don't have control over that inspires you? No idea? Any ideas? Nature is said. That's nature only. What else? What else is... You don't have control over money, then you should really check your finances. I think if you don't have control over your money, then sound engineering is not where you should be. What else? What else don't you have control over? Other people, yes, very good. Right? The situations around you, right? You don't control the situations around, for the most part at least. Right? There are sometimes external influences, things that happen around you that you just can't control. They could be good or bad. Right? A great example that you guys gave was nature. You don't really control what happens to the weather or nature around you. If it's a nice, bright, sunny day and the birds are chirping outside, what kind of music do you think you're going to make? Or what mood is it going to put you in? A happy mood, unless, yeah, if it's rainy and there's potholes all over the road and every time you come to college you slip and fall, then what kind of mood will you be in all the time? Deathcore metal. Still death. Right? You're not going to be in a great mood, right? Now, can you control these situations? No. As creatives, I'm assuming that we all consider ourselves creatives, yes? Whether you're an engineer or a music producer, whatever path you're taking, it's still a creative path. So, if that's a situation and you're saying that you're going to be a creative and you're creating, if that's your profession, that means you need to be always ready to create, right? Are these external factors, can you control them? Are they always reliable? No. So this is where we talk about internal inspiration. What do I mean by internal inspiration? By internal inspiration, what I mean is how can we inspire ourselves? right? What can we do in order to make sure we are constantly inspired? Or we are inspired in the moment for whatever we're working on, right? I'll take the same example again. You know, your partner dumped you the night before. The next day morning, your client or your boss has told you, make a happy rock song. Right? I'm going to pay you a bucket load of money. Make this happy rock song. What's your next step? You have to find a way to put yourself in that mindset or to inspire yourself to make that happy rock song. You have to do that if that's your job, right? You don't have a choice. And believe me when I tell you this, when you guys get into the working world and start working in this industry, this will be a daily struggle for you. This will be something that you have to face on a daily basis. And it's something that you should be very conscious about, right? So let's talk about, external inspiration is pretty straightforward. We understand what that means. But let's talk about internal inspiration a little bit, because I think that's where there's a lot of gray areas, right? Where we're really confused. What does that even mean? How do I even go forward with this? Right, so I think we talked about this. Inspiration helps us understand our creativity. Identify your creativity through inspiration. Okay, so some examples. So these are just off the cuff, some examples of how you could internally inspire yourself. I think a lot of music producers will... Okay, the screen is gone, huh? So a lot of the music producer guys will connect to this. So some examples of ways to inspire yourself. You know, using progressions or parts of songs from favorite music. Yes? How many of you here have tried this, the music producers? So when I say try this, give me an example. Like, what did you do? Sorry? Uh-huh.
And I liked it,
Right.
and I wanted to replicate it.
Very good. Why did you decide to do that?
So because I hadn't heard anything like it before,
Huh.
and I liked it a lot.
Okay, good. Now, did you copy it ditto? So you copied a little bit of it, but you made it your own.
Yeah.
So you made something original. So you were creative, because you made something original. Right? Who else put up their hand? Who else did this? So tell me what you do.
So I am working on an album right now,
Hmm.
and it has a lot of different genres in it.
Hmm.
And I'm heavily inspired by a lot of artists. So when I look for sounds for the songs that I'm producing, I'd actually go and listen to those songs and think like, what is the type of sound they went for, and take some pieces from here, some pieces from there, put it all together, make something original.
Very nice. So, but did you copy it like just ditto? Or is it just like copy paste? You're not plagiarizing, right? You're still making it into your own.
We make it from scratch in our own way.
Right.
Similar to that.
Similar to that. You're pulling inspiration. Now, did your state of mind have anything to do with that? Did it matter that you were sad, happy, lonely? Did that have anything to do with that process? No. Do you get what I'm saying? Your state of mind or anything that influenced you externally had nothing to do with that. The objective was, I need to make this song. I don't know what to do. Let me get inspired by something. They listened to some other songs, found sections they liked, used those sections, made it their own, made it original. Right? That's internalizing your inspiration. That way you're not dependent on what is happening around you. Like you are your own creative factory that way. Make sense? Okay, the next thing was processes from people we look up to. What does that mean? There's like a big light over there. Nikhil looks like he has a halo around him. What do I mean by, processes from people we look... Do you guys look up to others? Do you have like mentors or people that you follow online or something? Someone give me an example. Sorry? Who? Juice Void. Okay. Huh? Juice World. Okay. So you look up to Juice World. Why do you look up to him? Okay, good. It's a great reason to look up to an artist. So what are the processes that you like of his? Or what is something you like of his? You like his lyrics a lot. Okay. So now, since you like his lyrics, do you try to incorporate that into the music you make? You do. You take references from him. Great. Again, same question proposed. To get those references from his music and to get what you wanted from his music, do you need to be in a certain state of mind to do that? Do you need to be happy, sad? Do you need to have any specific emotion for that? Does it matter if it's raining or snowing or anything? No. Anybody else? Who is someone you look up to?
Chris Lord Algen.
Okay.
It's because of his simplistic workflow.
Right?
Because he was always, for me, it was like, okay, load a bunch of plugins,
Huh.
5, 10 plugins, and get the work.
Overload your computer and then tell mommy, daddy, no, I need the most expensive MacBook Pro. And if you buy that only, I can make good music. Huh.
So when I what to say, saw his projects, like how he works on them and how simplistic it actually is, that inspired me a lot.
So how have you applied that to your own production?
So I try to keep things simplistic by myself. I try my best not to exceed a certain limit while I'm doing any process.
Great. So you started developing your own process that helps you based on someone who has inspired you.
Yes.
Again, now, do you need to be in a certain state of mind to do this? Do you need to be happy, sad, lonely? No. Does it need to be raining outside, sunny outside? No, it doesn't matter, right? Do you need to have had like biryani before you start working on that process? You need to have biryani. But you guys get what I'm saying, right? You see how, the approach towards these two types of inspiration is drastically different. And as creatives, again, I can iterate how important it is to be conscious about these things. Like, I understand if you're in some other field, and if I was sitting here and talking to you, if you're a salesman, I would sound like some stupid like self-help guru who's telling you, this is how you live a better life. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about your livelihood. Your livelihood is based on how creative you are, yes or no? Yes? If you cannot be creative, if you cannot consistently be creative, can you be good music producers? No. Can you be good sound engineers? No. I'm sorry. How many of you have actually done shows, live sound? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so for the live sound guys, how many times have you had to be creative in a show? Every second, right? This cable is not working, what is the solution? Right? This is not compatible with that, what is the solution? Right? There are 40 people on stage, I have a 20-channel mixer, what is the solution? You are constantly forced to be creative. How are you going to be creative? Your job, your livelihood depends on you to be creative. Which means this is a serious thing that you guys should think about. This is not something you throw out the window. If you guys are into film, even for the film guys back there, right? I like how the camera guy is like, is he talking to me? He's like looking behind him, right? Even for the film guys, you guys probably look up to like certain screenwriters and producers and like whatnot, right? And you guys actually look into their workflows and see how they go about an entire process. It's the same for any creative field. It's not something that, okay, you just pass by on. This is what professionals do. You have to be very conscious about your creativity if you're a creative person. Does that make sense? And the last one is pretty self-explanatory. Absorbing knowledge from media, articles, and books. Right? Keep reading. YouTube is amazing. There's enough articles you can sit and read, listen, watch, right? Wherever you are, whether you're on your way to college, you're in the bathroom in the morning, like any time of the day, you can constantly read things, look up things, absorb knowledge. It's important. Knowledge will help you, right? Will help you understand new things. Like a great example is, how many of you have heard of New York compression? 2 people? 3 people? 4 people? Okay, so what's New York compression? Okay. I mean, yeah, but what happens in New York compression? It's there is parallel processing, yes. Can anyone be more specific? Huh?
Basically, instead of affecting the main signal, you take a copy of it, you add your compression to that, and you blend that in. So
That's parallel compression, but that's not New York compression. That's not New York. That's not New York style parallel compression. That's just parallel compression. They just compress everything a lot? No. You guys don't know New York compression? You're missing out on so much. You guys should go back immediately, look up New York compression because it'll change your lives completely, especially in your mixes. So parallel compression. You guys know what parallel compression is? Yes? Who doesn't know? It's completely fine to say if you don't know what parallel compression is. I know they're first years here also. Who doesn't know what parallel compression is? Okay. Who can explain it? Explain.
Parallel compression is just making a drive signal. Running a drive signal into a compressor and making a split, and you can make blend between a compressed signal and the dry signal.
Yes, very straightforward. Does that make sense? Yeah. Dry wet signal, fully compressed signal, uncompressed signal, and then you mix them both together. So it's a parallel chain. That's why it's called parallel, right? Two processes running in parallel. Now, New York compression adds an extra thing to this where a couple of guys in New York in a studio was like, okay, why they sat back and they started thinking, why are we using parallel compression? Like, why do you use parallel compression?
that you have control over the wet signal and the dry signal.
But a lot of compressors will have a wet and dry mix, no?
No, I mean like suppose you want a certain kind of different, something different on the compressed signal and something different on the dry signal. So you can have a difference over there.
Okay.
You want the dynamics of the dry signal, but still want it compressed, slightly compressed signal as well to make it go to it.
Yes. When you guys compress, you understand you destroy your dynamic range of your signal, right? So the reason why I use parallel compression is that you have one signal where the dynamic range is destroyed, but you get the thickness of that sound. And you have another signal which you have full dynamic range, but it's, what do you say? You can mix it into your compressed signal. Cool. So if that's the case, why not remove all the frequencies that you don't need in your compressed chain? How would you remove frequencies? EQ. New York compression just puts an EQ before your compressor on your compressed chain, and you scoop out a lot of your mids. That's New York compression. The guys who came up with New York compression and made it popular figured it out based on the knowledge they attained from reading books, right? From understanding their art. They wouldn't have been able to come up. What happened? Are you guys arguing what New York compression is? What's going on?
Isn't it like related to kind of multiband?
No, it's not multiband. It's so in New York compression, all they do is so I don't want to talk about the compression too much because that's not the point of the discussion. But you just basically scoop out a lot of your mid frequencies and boost your low and high frequencies. There's a reason behind it. It's a whole thing on its own. The point being, it's works really well for any signal that is harmonically rich. Right? It works really, really well, and it makes a big difference. The point being, the guys who came up with it, do you think they would have come up with that original idea if they did not read up and understand their art form? If they did not read up and understand, okay, what is a sound source? Why am I manipulating this sound source? Just understanding their work, right? And the science around their work. If they did not read up and understand this, would they have come up with New York compression? No, right? Educate yourselves, right? Even though you're in college and yes, you have a lot of homework and things that you guys should be going through, you guys have to take your own time to educate yourself and understand things that you need to know, right? Very important. So 3 examples of how you can inspire yourself, right? It wasn't that, again, do you think that these guys were waiting for them to be in a happy mood or a sad mood or to have, some nice biryani for lunch and then only they came up with this idea? No. It was based on the knowledge they already had.
But it would also be considered if we have a need for a thing.
Sorry?
If we have a need for a certain thing and you go on get inspired that, okay, this thing doesn't exist, what if I could make it and just get inspiration from that?
Yes, that's a form of inspiration based on your needs. What's the saying? Necessity is the mother of invention. There you go. Right? Necessity is the mother of invention, right? There's a saying. Very true. But then again, I need to do something, but if I don't know how to do it, then what's the point? So that's what I'm saying, educate yourself. But yes, very good point. Cool. So just a couple of examples of external inspiration. Now, I want to just go through, before I wrap up. What time is it? Oof. Time is flying when you're just talking. I want to take some time just to talk about 3 practical ways that you can inspire yourself internally. 3 things that you can try. Practical things that you can try. Now, I understand that some of these things will sound like stuff that you've heard before, but it's very important that we're conscious about these 3 things. Cool? The first thing that is very important, don't wait till final underscore 43rd master underscore really final underscore I'm completely sure this is final dot wave. Right? What do I mean by that? You answer too many questions. I'll ask somebody else. Huh? Don't be insecure about your work. Very good. Don't aim for perfection. Very good. Anybody else? What do I mean by saying this? What does this mean? Postpone the release. What do I mean by, don't wait till you get here? Why is it a bad idea?
I think you work on it too much.
Huh.
It might sound bad.
If you work on it too much, it might sound bad. Okay, that's one thing. Huh?
You might just drop it in the end and everything else.
You might just drop it in the end. Shouldn't do that. I mean, you'll never be satisfied. I mean, your biggest critic will always be yourself. Right? This should be yourself. Right? But why, is it important not to wait so long on things?
I think you start losing the drive you have to complete the
So,
project which you
is your objective as an engineer or a music producer to make that one great track or to be a good music producer or engineer? Huh? The second one. Right? You want to be a great engineer. Not say that I made this one song that was amazing. Right? Or I did this one show and everyone is happy. Because you want people to look at that one song and say that song was awesome, or they want to say, hey, this guy is awesome. Right? Sorry, what? The guy is awesome, right? You want to be awesome. You want to stand out. So, if we look at it that way, then it's very easy to say that our experiences are great inspirations, right? How many of you have released music? Good, quite a few of you. How many of you have released more than 5 songs? So, okay, when I say release, I mean you finished a song and even showed it to your mom. Okay, I'm not talking about just putting it, even everything else also counts, but I'm saying the lowest passing factor for that is you finished a song, you said you're done, you showed it to a friend or your mom. How many have done more than 5? Very good. More than 10? 15? 20? Songs only. We're not talking about like the idlis you had in the morning. 40? Maybe. Okay. 2 last contenders. Okay, fine. Let's let's stop at say 30. How would you compare your 30th song to your first song? A big difference, right? How, as a person, as a producer, do you think you just became better by 5%? 10%? No. Just, bear with me. Okay, think of it as a thought experiment. What was it? 15, 20%? 70%? Huh? It's not always better, but you are still more comfortable in what you're doing, right? Obviously, it's not like every track you make is going to be a banger. There's going to be some really crappy songs you're going to make in between that you would think are awesome, and you show to your friends will also be like, yeah, good job, right? That will always be there, but that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about the song. Keep that in mind. We're talking about, are you a better music producer? Definitely, right? Could I say, like, definitely 100% more than your first song? No, definitely. I mean, in terms of how much you've improved, right? Okay, very good. The humility. It hits. The humility hits. Okay, but do you guys understand what I'm saying? Sure, the music might not be better. It should be. If it's not better, then, you should make some other choices. But what I'm trying to say is, you're a better music producer since your first track? You're a better artist since your first track? Yes. You're a better music producer since your first track? Yes. Now, if you know with every track you finish, or with every show that you do, you become better, why would you delay that process? What sense does it make? But you don't become better from, we just went through that. Do you become better from the one track or from the multiple tracks? So then why would you delay based on that one track? See, again, it sounds so simple, but we all do it, no? I'm not saying that I'm some super special god or anything. Nikhil knows how many tracks that I've sat on for years. Right? But what I'm trying to say is it's so simple, yet we just don't think of it like this, right? It'll never be the sum of that one. It'll never be the one track. It's a sum of all your progress, right, that makes you better. So why are you stuck on the one track? Why are you dwelling on that one show? What are you doing for your next show? What are you doing for your next recording session? Are you going to stick to the same process of, I will plug microphone into cable, into Snake, and it is coming on Pro Tools, okay, I can record right now. Is that what you should be stuck on? You have to put checks and balances on yourself to challenge yourself every time you do something, right? To say that I'll do something better the next time. That's inspiring yourself. Do you think this is important? Right? It's very important, and you have to take conscious decisions. Understand what you're going to create it, release it, move on. You'll never have that perfect song. Maybe you will, if you're lucky. But the point is, keep creating. Keep doing. That's how you become better. Sorry? Never give up, right? But again, what I'm trying to say is, multiple songs, multiple processes, not the one song that you'll sit on for 2-3 years. That 2-3 years, if you made 50 other songs, do you think you'd be better? Yes. Logical choices, it makes sense. Cool? Now, a couple of people who failed before succeeding, I think you guys would have seen this. You guys know who Walt Disney is, right? Right, so the first person he pitched an idea said that he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. Stephen King, his first book, you guys heard of Stephen King? Am I giving you references that are too old? You know he's a writer. Okay, so I gave you a reference that's too old. Okay. Bill Gates, you guys know who Bill Gates is, yes? First company failed. Sir James Dyson, you guys heard of Dyson? The vacuum cleaners and stuff, right? He had to try 5,000 times before his vacuum actually became popular. You get what I'm saying? The more you try, the more you do, the more chances you have of achieving something. Do you get what I'm saying? Every new experience makes us better, so don't get stuck on an idea. The next thing I wanted to talk about is to develop processes that inspire you. Right? This is something extremely important, something very practical you can do. Okay, this boils down to developing processes, working on things. You're taking pictures of the slides. I can share with Nikhil and you can take it from Nikhil after if you want, don't worry. I'm a giver. Okay, so defining processes that help you, that inspire you, right? You can develop processes that will help you create anything you want to create, regardless of whatever situation you are in, regardless of whatever mood you are in. A great example of this is something called a mood board. How many of you have heard of a mood board? A few people, 3 or 4 people. So what is a mood board?
You express all of your ideas in a
You express all of your ideas
on a board.
on a board. Okay, close. No idea? What did you think a mood board was?
Yes, yes. Like basically, we all, have all our different kind of ideas and aesthetics
Hmm.
on a particular place.
Hmm.
So like a slide on like Excel or anything, like make a PPT or something like
Yeah. Perfectly. Close. It's a very condensed storyboard. So a mood board is nothing but, yes, different ideas, but to achieve one goal. Right? You have to identify that one goal that you want to achieve, and you create, think of it as one slide. Now this is going to sound very boring, but when you actually do it, it helps. And I'm going to show you an example of a mood board. The idea is you take a blank canvas, you wait for the screen to start working. Yeah. Right? First you define what you're doing. When you're making a mood board, again, it's not random. We are looking at very specific things we want to do. Am I trying to make a rock song? Am I trying to make my recording session, am I trying to make my vocals pop in my recording session? Right? You define a very specific objective. Then you lay out the things that you have and you understand. If you're in the studio, you're an engineer, I have these mics, I have these cables, I have this mixer, I have this software, these are my limitations, these are the things that I understand. Make sense? Then you lay out inspirations. Who are the people you look up to? Right? What do I want this song to sound like? And then lastly, break down your thoughts. You put all these things down as headings, and then you start filling in the blanks. So I'll show you a very simple example of this. I want to make a mumble rap song, because I'm a big fan of mumble rap. Right? But I've never made a mumble rap song before. So what I did was, the first thing is I defined my objective, right? And by the way, when I say I really love mumble rap, I'm being very sarcastic. Okay? So, first thing I did was I defined my objective. I said that I want to make a mumble rap song. Then I started listing out the things that I have or I understand. I understand things like scales. I understand instruments and processes that can be used to make a song. I understand that I need some inspiration, so I need to look at some good mumble rappers, ? And I need to educate myself. So I got a documentary of right? And I know that I need to educate myself on mumble rap, right? So I've listed out the things that I have and I understand. What is the next step? Now I need to start filling in the gaps, right? I need to start listing out inspirations. So how do you think I got all this information? Huh? Google search. I just searched, okay, what are the popular scales in mumble rap music? Right? What are, the most commonly used instruments and processes used? Who are the best mumble rappers? And I searched on YouTube for a documentary on mumble rap. Now, if I follow this as a template, do you think I'll end up with a mumble rap song?
Follow it completely, but it's like a good start.
No, question is simple. If I follow this completely, will I end up with a mumble rap song? I will. Now, am I dependent on, again, my state of mind, the food I had in the morning? Yes. I mean, yes, if you had some spicy food, then you might not be in the mood for making mumble rap. But you guys get what I'm saying, right? I'm not dependent on anything to make this mumble rap song. Now, after I make the song, do you think it's going to be a good good is subjective when it comes to mumble rap, but will it be a good mumble rap song? It'll be generic. Now, what happens if I reiterate and repeat this process 5 times? And I keep adding to this board with the things that I learn 5 times. What happens? What happens on the 5th song? So is my 5th song going to be better than my first song? I mean, again, better is subjective, but in the realm of mumble rap, will it be better? Yes. What happens when I do it 10 times? What happens when I do it 100 times? Huh? God level. You're a professional mumble rap producer. Is this a hard process to follow? How many of you here, guys, 1 second. How many of you here have been stuck and thought, oh, this is such a difficult hill to climb. I will never become a good artist. I don't know how these guys do it. How are these guys so talented? How many of you have had that thought or have been stuck? Be honest. How many? If you haven't had it, you guys must be geniuses. Everyone. If you say you haven't done it, you're not honest. That hasn't happened to you, you're not honest with yourself. Everyone, yes? Could you say that if you did this 100 times?
Actually, yes.
Huh?
I still would. Yeah.
You still would, but at least you won't question what to do, right? And isn't that a very important question that you have? Isn't that a very big blocker that all these great things are there? There will always be someone better than you. Don't get ahead of yourselves, right? But at least this gives you direction, right? The biggest question you have as a creative is, how do I even get there? I do this 100 times. Does that answer your question? Build a process, do it 100 times. Then if your song is still crappy, then maybe you should not be making mumble rap music. Try a different genre. Maybe that's, what you should do. Again, that's different from person to person. But you guys understand what I'm trying to say, right? The only blocker for you to achieving these things creatively is yourself. You guys need to understand, in the creative field, it's no different than being in any other field. It's no different than being a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant. You still need to follow some processes. And that's a big thing that creatives miss out. That following an actual process or treating it like a job, right? By not doing that, you're actually missing out. If you want to be a professional, then you act professional. You do professional things. If someone says they're a professional doctor and they don't consult patients on a daily basis, do you think they're a professional doctor? Right? If someone says they're a professional cook or chef and they don't cook anything on a daily basis, do you consider them a professional chef? No. If you are a professional sound engineer or a professional music producer, and if you're not constantly making and creating, are you a professional? It's no different than any other industry. And the sooner you understand that and internalize that, the faster you will grow. Does that make sense? Cool. The third thing I just want to talk about is turn processes into habit. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by turning? I mean, I've explained it over there, but what do you think? Why should you turn processes into habit? It'll make your life simpler. Initially, it won't actually.
Yeah, because you'll be trying to create the habit.
You'll be trying to create the habit. Okay.
I think a best example is like your workflow, how you like manage it.
Right.
Like if you try making it more efficient, it just like helps you in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah, and forming it into a habit, right? Do you think, see, this is the third thing that I went through. Now, amongst all the stuff that we talk about, do you think that mood boards will work for everybody? No. Right? All processes, it's not, one for all. It's not that every process and everything is, one size fits all. It's not for everybody. But how do you find the things that work for you? Experiment. Try and fail. Try and fail, and the things that do work for you, make them habit. Now, what do I mean by make them habit? If you're saying, if we now know as a music producer that the more music you produce, the better you become, shouldn't you schedule a time every week and put it in your calendar and say that I will sit at this time every week and make music? Does that make sense? Will it be hard to follow initially? It will be hard to follow initially. You won't be inspired to do it. You'll have to push yourself. I need to get out of bed. I drank so much last night. Right? But then you do it 1 week, you do it 2 weeks, you force yourself to do it for a month, and then you'll be like, why am I not doing it today? Does it make you a better person? Does it make you a better creative? Yes. So keep trying and calendar these processes. Try multiple processes and start calendaring it. Understand this. When people say treat it like a job, no, this is your job. Feeling tired? Can see your face. You're slowly falling asleep. I'm talking to you, dude. You're looking around like, who is he talking to? Yeah. Okay. No, I understand. It's a long conversation of just me talking. It's a long session of me talking. But what I'm trying to say is start turning things into habit. If you don't turn things into habit, you will not grow. Right? Okay. Think of your creativity as a muscle. Right? Flexing without exercise makes you look weird. Does that make sense? If you say you're a bodybuilder and you don't exercise but you go and start flexing, do you think people will take you seriously as a bodybuilder? Huh? If you're a music producer and if you're not exercising your creative muscles and trying different things and experimenting, people won't take you serious as a music producer. Again, I understand that these are things that sound very obvious, but how many of you actually do it? You do all of this. Huh. Good. But you understand that a lot of us don't do it. Or maybe you can do it better. Right? Or maybe you could be more conscious about it. Right? Do you think it's important to be conscious about it? Again, take any other profession. Do you think a doctor is conscious about the work that he's doing? You have to be very conscious, no? If you're not conscious about the work that you're doing, what happens? Somebody dies. Same with like an accountant. If I'm not conscious about the work that I'm doing, somebody is not going to get their tax return or I'm going to lose somebody money. So again, this is your profession. You should be conscious about what you're doing. Cool? Yes. So conscious repetitions leads to subconscious habits. So I think we already talked about that, right? Keep repeating, calendar it, find processes that work for you. Yes, it's hard initially, but do it again, and it becomes subconscious habit, right? It's like, if you get addicted to like drinking or smoking a cigarette or anything, and leaving it becomes very hard to do because you're so addicted to doing it so often. It's the same thing. It's developing healthy habits. Right? It's not easy to create and develop these new habits and processes. If it was easy, everyone would have a Grammy. Makes sense, right? It's very easy for me to stand up here and say all these things. It's very easy to listen to these things and write it down. That's not the hard part of it. The hard part of it is actually doing it. Right? And as creatives, this is as important as anything that you'll ever do. Because you can actually see how this will impact you as a person. The more creative you are, the better you are at your profession, the more recognized you are, the better salaries you get. And that's ideally what you want, right? You want to be better in your field. So take the hard steps. Again, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. That's the one thing you should always keep in mind. Cool? So, in closing, this is pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. I didn't want to put up a doll and start telling you, hey, this is New York compression. This is how you can make your vocals sound better. This is how you can make your, drums pop, and show you all these techniques on Ableton Live. Because YouTube is there. You guys are smart enough to pretty much, see any tutorial that you want on the planet. I'm very sure you can find 101 tutorials that will be much better than what I can sit here and talk about. But what I can tell you is understanding your creativity and managing your creativity and inspirations will be one of the single most important things and tools that you will develop as a creative person. Tips and techniques you can always learn. There will always be resources out there to learn, to read, to watch, and to go through. But if you're not developing yourself as a person professionally, nothing else matters. Then you're just guys sitting on the toilet watching YouTube tutorials. And that's not going to make you a better artist. Make sense? Cool. So that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today. So we'll take the rest of the time to, if you guys have any questions, we can go through them.
Hey guys, do you have any questions? Don't feel shy. So anything about, if you want, they can ask you questions regarding your experiences.
Yeah, anything. Anything. What did I have for breakfast? Go for it. What did I have for breakfast? I had egg roll.
If you guys want to ask him about his industry experience, so about managing creativity, if you have about breaking bad habits, any kind of things.
Not Breaking Bad, but Breaking Bad Habits. Yeah. Any?
The longest block you had?
What's the longest block you've had? I'd say, how old am I right now? 36 years? Yeah. I mean, there's always something that will block you, right? So one thing that I've always realized, if you're stuck on something, just move on to the next. It's not worth it to be stuck on something and just stay there. Sometimes you're just stuck. The one thing that happens if you, imagine you're on a song, you're working on a song. You just don't know what melody line to write. Days and days go by, you still can't figure it out. Move on to the next. The third or fourth song that you make after that, suddenly a bulb will go off and be like, oh, this is the melody that I should have written for that song. That's better than in the span of 1 month, you've made 2 more tracks, rather than sitting on that one song trying to figure out a melody line. Right? Practical thinking. Make sense? Anything else? What other questions do you guys have? Any questions regarding my experience as a creative consultant? Yes.
What do you think is the next step for the audio industry? Like, what is the next thing which is going to go viral?
The next thing is going to go viral. That's, I mean, virality and next step are two very different
Not
things.
viral,
Huh.
in terms of commercial way. Not in let's say Dolby Atmos stuff.
Okay, so technology-wise, the biggest thing that will be, it will be not formats like you guys are talking about. What you should also think broadly in that dimension is consumerism. And right now, what is really on the uptake is now, due to internet speeds becoming much better and compression algorithms becoming much better, that means your data transfers have a lot less, what's the word for delay? Latency. Right? Latency is dropping tremendously, which means I can have a DAW or a session in my software where I'm sitting here in Bangalore and I can have an artist sitting in Germany and I can be recording with him and, building a project with him with zero latency. Now, we're not there yet. It's building towards it, but we're a lot further ahead than we were 10 years ago. You guys might not think it's a big deal, but how many of you, as music producers, how many of you think sampling is probably a very important skill to have as a producer? You know what the initial purpose of sampling was?
Capture like sounds
Huh?
like which can't be created using like generic instruments.
No. I mean, you can do that, but that's not the original objective of. I'm sweating. That wasn't the original objective of sampling.
So to trigger it,
To trigger it.
suppose some sample
Huh.
for you to loop it or play it in a certain way. Maybe
Definitely, those are all sampling techniques. Those are things to do in sampling, right? But what was the original behind sampling? The original idea? Anybody? Nobody knows? Move it from one place to another. Who said that? What do you mean? I don't understand.
I'm in a studio,
Huh?
artist is in another city.
Huh?
I can just export my tracks as a sample and just
Yes. No, he's on a he's on the right track. It's not about the artist, it's about the instrument.
Sampling is basically recording something and playing it back.
That's what sampling is. I get that. But why did sampling become important is what I'm trying to say.
Record something in tape back, like a short clip, whatever.
Right. Again, that's what it is. So the reason why sampling became very important was you have to understand that when did sampling start? A long time ago. Right? This is like in the 70s and 80s. Now, when it started, the idea was okay, imagine yourself, you're a music producer over here. You go to the Sydney Opera House. You guys know what the Sydney Opera House is? You guys understand that in certain situations, acoustics are really nice and you like to record something over there, right? So you take your artist, you go to the Sydney Opera House, you get him to play the piano part that you want in the Sydney Opera House, you come back with the recording, you realize he missed a note. What do? Go back to Sydney, Australia. Or you go there, you sample the piano, get all the samples that you want, you come back and you plug it into your VST. That was the original idea behind sampling. Now, where it has progressed from there is a different story altogether. The point being, it made everything accessible. The next trend is it's always everything being accessible. Am I accessible to collaborate with another artist on the other side of the world? Right? And with, increasing technology and latency becoming better, these things are improving. So if you're looking at tech-wise, that is the thing that's on the rise. Huh.
Like milliseconds of latency will really affect how you come.
Depends on how many milliseconds.
Usually like a good benchmark like to communicate properly is around like 50 milliseconds.
Huh.
To like easily like converse with no.
Sure, a lot of professional gamers work at less than 50 milliseconds. So the technology is there. That's what I'm trying to say. We're developing.
Playing it in a LAN center. If it's online, then you have to go
No, I'm saying online only.
Online, yeah, 25 is the best you can achieve.
Well, that's less than 50, no? You get what I'm trying to say? We're getting better. It's getting better. You'll never hit zero. Zero is physically impossible, right? But we can always make it less. Cool. Any other questions? Anything else you guys would like to talk about, ask about, know about? Yes.
I was wondering if buying plugins does it make you better?
Do plugins make you better?
Let's say like now you play the piano already.
Huh.
You have a piano.
Huh.
It doesn't sound as good as let's say a professionally recorded piano.
Okay.
Do you really need it or do you save that money for something else?
I would say you need to define what is good.
It sounds bad, like it's out of tune or something. Like
The VST is out of tune.
I've had
Then refund your money. Get your money back. You shouldn't be buying a VST that's out of tune. Or I'm sure there's a knob that helps you, retune it. No, but I get your question is more on the lines is it worth buying VSTs? Yeah, it is. Again, it's a very dependent question. You shouldn't rely on VSTs to be, if you're saying the only way I can finish my music is I need VSTs, then no, that's not a good answer. You should be able to make music regardless. There are people who are making amazing songs off of really weak, apps on Android or iOS. And they're getting very popular and their music is very good. Does that, just because I make a song on an Android app, does that mean my creativity is any less than yours? No. Does it mean that my song is bad? No.
I mean, at the end of the day, no one's going to listen to what you record.
Exactly. No one, very good. When someone listens to your music, they don't care about what you made it on or how you made it. They just care about that you made it. And now I can enjoy your creativity.
Why is in the industry, why is there like an industry standard monopoly thing?
Yeah.
Because it's a monopoly, exactly like you said.
They can fool sound
People who don't know Pro Tools are not engineers. If you are Fruity Loops, you are not engineers.
I mean, but, okay, again, not to call the old card again, but you guys are much younger. You don't understand how that argument is a lot less nowadays than it was 10 years ago. Yes, education is getting out there. People are starting to understand that it doesn't matter. Boss, you use Pro Tools. You can keep your ego to yourself. I'll use my iOS app. I'll get 40,000 likes and somebody will hire me to make a song. Who is doing better? Your ego will put food on the table for you tonight, I'm sure. You get what I'm saying? People are understanding this over time. I'm not pointing this at you. I'm just giving you the situation. He doesn't use Pro Tools. Good. Any other questions? Anything?
what's your take on
Selling
selling music as NFTs?
music as NFTs. Yeah, definitely.
NFTs kind of seem like a silly concept.
Seems like a silly concept. So, again, it's being done, yeah. So, I mean, yeah. There's no, not only him, but there's a lot of artists right now that are starting to release singles as NFTs. Very good. How much did you make? What was your question? It's silly. He just made $60. Huh?
The concept of NFTs, they say it's a unique thing, but anybody can replicate it.
No, you can't. No, it's not. You can't replicate an NFT. So, okay, I'm not going to get into the whole thing of blockchain and how NFTs work, but the idea is very simple. Yes, anything can replicate something digital, but the reason why NFTs work so well is because there is a line of code that cannot be replicated. Right? It's like an original banknote.
Yeah, the actual thing will have
Yeah, the actual thing will have
that.
it. Yeah. And everyone wants the original. There will always be the copy, even in the digital world. I can buy a copy of the Mona Lisa, a really good copy of the Mona Lisa, that I can spend good money on, that looks no different than the actual Mona Lisa. But is it the Mona Lisa? Will it ever have the same value of the Mona Lisa? It's the same concept.
So do you think the NFT music business
He just made $60, so yes, the answer is yes. I mean, everyone wants the original, no? If I'm a popular artist, and I can say, this is very similar, so I don't know if you guys know this, in the 80s and 90s, artists would sell the original prints of their music. Like, for example, have anyone here heard of the Wu-Tang Clan? Yes? Do you know the story about the last studio album that they made? They made one last studio album and they never released it. They had only one original press. And they sold it to that, do you know the story? No? So they put it on auction a couple of years ago, and this big pharmaceutical guy bought it for like, I think some like $10 or $12 million or something, like a massive amount. Why? Because it's the only one that exists. Now he can take it, he can print it, he can sell it, he can do whatever he wants. But the point is, people are willing to pay for the original. So,
So when it comes to NFTs with music releases, suppose I release a song tomorrow, and I also sell the NFT of it. What kind of a right am I selling with the NFT?
Yeah, even I was just
So it has to do with copyright and who owns the original copy. There's a lot that goes behind it. Legality in terms of,
have the copyright like your own songs.
yeah.
If there are multiple, would you say, copies to it, there's this artist called
Copies will exist. You still own the original.
license for your song. Yeah, but when you sell it as a, what do you say, as an NFT, as a
Okay, so you need to, in the digital realm, you need to understand that it's not, the value is not in the quality of something. There is no in the digital world, there's no difference in the quality of a copy. It's all theoretical value. It's the value of something original. When you say silly, yes, there is a good point there, because the silliness is, in the digital world, that originality is just who makes it original. Do I say that it's original? That's the only thing that makes it original.
My question was, what kind of a license is being sold along with that NFT?
It depends on how you are willing to sell.
Like if
You define it, yeah.
my song to a film,
You define it. See, it's the same as copyright. It's you define that. You define how it's being used.
For example, the original like raw file, you just give it to those guys, like whoever bought it. That's their like value. It's like, oh, Pratap gave
Yeah, but if you make it an NFT, you have to create a blockchain for that one NFT. I mean, that's a whole different thing. But in terms of value, you decide the value. That's up to you, completely up to you.
So can it be like we sell the music as an NFT to someone, he owns it exclusively, but we get the streaming revenue or something like that?
Again, that depends on you. You define what happens.
talk with your lawyer.
Because there's no, yeah, there's no right or wrong. There's no one process that works. It's, you can do whatever you want. In fact, for that Wu-Tang Clan thing, which is the same concept, the clause was that you cannot make copies, which is kind of unfair. If I own something, then I get to do whatever I want with it. But that was the clause of buying it. Cool. We had a nice huh?
Only he can listen to
Only he can listen to it. Huh?
So in Ableton you use something called simpler. I didn't get what's the purpose of it. Like, why is it used?
Why is simpler use? Oof. Why?
The first year, take the second year.
Have you tried sampling? Okay, then he has the best advice for you. If you don't understand sampling, we're not getting into a sampling discussion. That's I have to start I have to send Seamedu another invoice for that. Would I aim for self-satisfaction or? Great question. It really depends. See, there is a fine line between it, because sometimes, especially as an artist, satisfying other people does satisfy yourself. If other people like your music, you feel happy, right? If people like your music, you're going to be like, hey, my song is shit. Obviously, you're not going to say that, right? If people like your music, it makes you happy. So it is a very blurry line. But what I would say is, other people's expectations shouldn't hold you back. Yeah, but see, be very conscious about this thing. Don't be, have some kind of humility when it comes to these things. Take people's feedback, see how people react. If your objective as an artist is to make sure people are happy, and if you're constantly making music that is not making people happy, then look at what you're doing. Take a humble look at your music and see what are the mistakes that you're making. So there is a lot of humility involved in that, even though it is a blurry line. Any other questions? Anything else that you guys want to talk about? Huh?
So as you have worked in live sound as well,
Huh?
I want to ask you, how did you start with actually going and maybe you probably started with internships, right? Like just going there and working for free.
Huh? How did I start? How did I find a job? For you guys, you could ask Seamedu for an internship. They should give you an internship. For live sound. Should I get into the whole story? Biography. Okay, so I got into live sound by accident. For me it was, see, when it comes to, okay, one thing I'll tell you when it comes to these kind of internships and job opportunities, right? You guys need to be as cutthroat as possible, especially in this industry. What I tell all my students is, you are in one of the most cutthroat industries on the planet. How many people are in your class? Around 30. How many? 3 years. There are 3 years, right? How many batches per year? 3 batches. So that's 90 for a single year into 3, right?
So 30.
Okay. So 90. So every year about 60 students are passing out?
Yeah.
And that's now after...
Yeah. Post-pandemic, now again it's picking up.
Right. So every year, from Seamedu alone, in Bangalore, there are 50 new engineers. Times that into the other institutions around the country and the people who are doing it freelance. Let's take let's be pessimistic and say there are 1,000 new engineers every year. Fair enough? Do you think there are 1,000 new jobs every year? No. Right? The demand will far outweigh this. The supply will far outweigh the demand every time. What does that mean? You need to be always on point of trying to find your own. Yes, your college will help you find these things, and Seamedu does help you find these things, from what I remember. But never wait for that. Always push yourself forward, because that's how you move forward. And that's exactly what I did. I got into live sound because I wanted to learn to play the guitar. Right? I couldn't pay for learning the guitar. So a person that I knew who had a music school and taught guitar also had a live sound company attached. So I said, dude, I'll carry speakers for you, teach me to play the guitar. That's how I got into live sound. And it's not like some amazing story or anything. You guys can do it too. Go tell someone, I'll carry speakers for you. Just let me hang around. They'll happily let you do it. Huh? Yeah. In fact, they look for people like that who, if you go to a live sound guy and say, hey, I'm so great. I passed out of Seamedu. I have, I'm first mark. Give me my next show. He'll say, okay. Please take a walk. Go to the end of the line. There's 10 more guys waiting behind you. Humility. Go say, I will carry speakers. Go carry speakers. It's the best way to learn things.
Eventually, you just have to build a good portfolio in the end, right?
Yes. Time and patience. Any other questions? Nothing?
How many years did you carry speakers before actually?
How many years did I think it was less than a year. But it was, obviously you start with small shows. You're carrying the speakers and suddenly like, hey, the engineer fell sick. Can you cover for him? That's your first opportunity, right? It's just persistence. Work is worship, yeah. Any other questions? Anything else you guys want to talk about, ask about? I'm not here again tomorrow. I stay very far. It took me 1.5 hours to get here. I'm not coming back again. So now is your time to ask me any questions that you might have. No?
No questions?
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. It was my pleasure to come down and speak to you today. I hope there's something that you guys can take back from today's session. Please feel free to reach me out at any time. You can take my email address and my number. I'll be more than happy to converse. I'll also share the slides with Nikhil. I think some of you wanted, those slides. I'll just share it with you and you can send it across. Cool.